All right,
Yeah.
starting.
Canine assistant there.
There you go. Look at that. All right, we're live on YouTube. So if you don't want to be on YouTube, you can disable your webcam or your microphone, and that's how you cannot be on YouTube. But we are streaming to the TechNet YouTube channel now. All right, everybody. Oh, what is this note that's being put up on Dallas's screen?
I was gonna hide the camera.
Oh.
Oh.
All right, welcome everybody to the Southwest Florida TechNet. It is October 22nd, and we have we're running low on ideas as usual, but we have that's all right. We got one planned out today. It's not going to be as long as some of them, but that's all right. We could do with a couple short ones here and there. So yeah, the Southwest Florida TechNet is sponsored by the Southwest Florida Tech team. There will be info about that at the end here, where we talk about how you can get involved. And I know that we have everybody here as a regular, so that information is kind of old news, but nevertheless, that's what's going on. All right, so give me 1 second here. I'm going to start the screen share because we actually did make a presentation tonight. So let me do this, do that, view, present. All right, y'all see it okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. That still says TBA. Okay, so this week we're going to be talking about something that we came up with, which is a ham radio introduction video. We want to make a really good, solid video for the TechNet YouTube channel that's kind of like an introduction to ham radio, something that you can send to a friend when they ask what ham radio is. And we want input from you. We've seen a lot of videos, and all of them have certain issues with them, in my opinion. So we're actually going to take questions. We have a bunch of different sections, and each section we're going to go through, we're going to talk about ways to actually make this video and how to make it good. Then we're going to talk about the FMARC linked repeater system, that's a system of about 4 repeaters that are all set up and linked together. And then we've got the news and the net roundup, and there's actually some interesting stuff in the news. And then of course the net roundup, which we do every week. So it is, yes, okay, here we go. So yeah, Ian is still out of town. He's up in his cabin, and he'll be here next week. But for now, it's just me running the show. He is kind of here in and out. He may be listening, maybe not. I'm not sure. But so yeah, if we have any technical difficulties, it's my fault because it's just me. So yeah, welcome to the TechNet. So we were making a video that we're making a video that's going to hopefully convey what ham radio is as effectively as possible, and it needs to be cool too, because all these other videos are kind of not very cool. So it's got to be nice. And we want your input on this. So we're actually going to do a bunch of little questions, sort of like this. So the first question is, should we do mini interviews with local hams? And by this, I mean, say we're at the swap shop or something, and we have a camera, and we go up to people and say, can you describe ham radio for me? That's one way we could do it, or we could have it in a sort of different style. So I was going to ask Dave, and I was going to ask Dallas, and I was going to ask Lynn what you guys thought about that, going around to people and doing like a little interview kind of thing, at least for part of the video, not the whole thing. But y'all think that's a good idea?
Well, it would work. You'd get a bazillion different answers because this hobby has got like 100,000 different facets, and that's just for the folks here in my county. Wait a minute, there's lots of counties. Yeah, it's a multi-million faceted hobby because there's some that just only do code. I know that my mentor, when I went to his house to borrow his radio, he had to find the microphone, and he cut the tape on the bottom of the box, and we opened the box and we took the plastic sleeve off the microphone. He'd only had the radio for a dozen years.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
He didn't know if that function actually worked. He's the only person I know of that has 4 sideband filters and a radio that should have had 2 sideband filters and 4 CW filters. in a radio that should have had two CW filters and maybe two sideband or at least an AM filter, but no one ever buys that. But there's a spot for it. But he filled it all with CW. So it's
Yeah, that is a good point. Everyone is going to have a different answer.
You'll get a bunch of stuff, and a lot of it's going to end up on the edit room floor.
Yeah. Like, what if we asked, what is your favorite part of ham radio? Like something like that.
That's what I was getting ready to say. It would be better to ask the individual, what is your favorite mode of amateur radio, or what do you like to do most with amateur radio? I think that would be a better interview.
Yeah, I think that'd be good too.
What drew you to amateur radio? What got you interested in it?
That's another good question to ask everybody. Yeah, that would be, because then everyone would kind of have their, their own little experiences, and you can kind of put them all together in like a little sort of compilation kind of thing.
Yeah, you could change it to something like, what does amateur radio mean to you? So each person you ask the same question, which would likely get answers that were closer to not being random,
Yeah, well,
Joseph,
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
your initial question that Dallas responded to, I think it's very important that you do different age as well as male and female for what drew you to him or what is your favorite. But we have to be, I think, very, very focused on how wide it is, in the sense of, you may not find too many 70-year-old people doing drones, but you guys love your drones and you speak about them very excitedly, which means other people like yourself might say, oh, I didn't know a ham radio could do the drones. And suddenly now you've made another ham radio operator.
That's a very, very good point. We need to have, make sure we have, everybody there in it. Because you're absolutely right. If you come on there and you just see, only one aspect of it, it may not interest somebody. But if you kind of cover everything, and that's the kind of thing a lot of the videos that exist already don't do too well of, is they kind of focus on one aspect too much, whether that's like the prepping aspect or the, talk around the globe aspect, or, whatever they focus on one thing too much. And I kind of want to be able to like sum up everything that you can do with it. So it's not just like, oh, well, ham radio is only CW on 160 meters. That's all. A lot of videos are like that, and I kind of want to avoid that. But you have a very good point there, where you got to ask everybody, not just people who do one thing, but you got to ask everybody. You got to ask the younger, the older. You got to ask the kids and everybody. And I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a very good way to go about it. That was something. See, that's something I hadn't really thought of originally, but now I'm going to make a special point to do that. So let me see here. Yeah, okay, so the style of the video. Now, this is another thing that I really want to try and get right. There are videos out there that are just somebody talking, on like a webcam. But what kind of, like, not really genre, but like how do you think it should be set up? Should it be like an action, like say there's an event going on, and it's like following someone around, at least for part of it, obviously not the whole point of it, but it'd be like, are we like following somebody around as they set up their radio and talk about it a little bit? Or should it be like, people in a room talking about it, or like a documentary kind of thing where it's, you go around interviewing? I think the documentary style might be kind of good.
I agree with that.
Yeah, because you can do the interview thing. You can kind of go around. Like I think doing this at an event, like at least getting some of our video at an event, like the Hamfest, the upcoming Hamfest, would probably be a really good place to do it, because that's where everybody's going to be in one place, and you can kind of showcase a lot of the aspects of it all at once.
But Joseph, let me ask you. Now, I have not been to the Hamfest here down in Florida, but I have been to other trade shows. And if your goal is to try and get someone to try ham radio out, a Hamfest won't do it, because a Hamfest is vendors and buyers, but field day would. There's different antennas. There are different people. They are doing different bands and frequencies and that type. that might allow you to solve what you're talking about as a documentary.
Yeah, I think that's something I hadn't thought about either. You know, if you make it kind of like a ham fest is more than just the vendors and sellers and everything. It's kind of about being around your friends on the radio and stuff.
Well,
But
But
you
you
don't
do make a
go
good
ahead,
point.
Rick.
field day, you could sit, show them sitting somebody down in front of a GOTA station, get on the air station, and actually putting them on the air, even though they don't have a license. So they actually get to sit in front of a radio and operate. Even
Oh, there you
without
go.
a license or anything.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, and see, that's why I think your drone gone to the field, and you explain that you're using your radio to go ahead and control it, and then they can see it fly over the soccer field a little bit. That's another suggestion.
Yeah, kind of mixing all these different technologies together and like using them in the video.
Yes.
I think that's a really cool idea with the drone. You know, the drone uses ham frequencies. So yeah, that is a really good idea.
I will also tell you, and now these men have way outdone me, I love to see ham shacks. Because
That's another thing I really agree with.
I appreciate when someone will come on the Zoom and you will see how they have put their ham shack together. And it doesn't mean if it's very small or humble, that's not the point. The point is, what did they put next to each other? What can you put on top of each other, or how many monitors? I just think that's another very interesting part of our hobby.
No, you're absolutely right. So I'm trying to think, how would you work that in? Because like, say you're doing I guess that's more of a video editing thing though, more than an idea thing. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, we absolutely got to show someone's setup in there. I mean, for real. I mean, I'd love to show Ian's setup because he's got a really cool setup. He's got all the monitors and everything and the lights. That's a really cool setup to show.
Well,
Ian's setup looks like he could launch missiles out of there.
I know. Yeah.
I agree, Rick. I agree.
But yeah, if anyone else has a setup they'd like to show on there, because that would be really cool. You kind of just like say you're pointing out different parts of it. You're like, okay, over here is this radio and it does this, and this, and it's got this kind of antenna, and over here is this computer that does this, kind of just showing some of the actual hardware.
Right.
And the different kinds you can have.
The other thing, if you are focusing some of this video on people, your peer group, Joseph, okay? The other thing that I think would be very interesting is to have the hams who have been around a while, and you find out how many of them actually learned their skill in the service.
In the service.
Military.
Yes, and that is a big deal, because for a lot of young men and women right now, going into the military is viable. It helps them maybe to get college scholarships, but they realize that there's a viable profession. But it's the idea that when you talk to our club members, a good majority of them learn their trade in the service, their ham radio work.
Yeah, they do. A lot of them will. I've met people who were required to get a ham license for when they were in the military, or
Correct.
or they learned their CW skills, during training and everything.
Right.
In
Right.
the military, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really cool aspect. So you could kind of asking people how they got started and ask them if
That's correct.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. That could be kind of part of the interview sort of thing.
Or they could be like me. Come December, I will be licensed for my 30th year, but I'm just getting started.
That's cool. That's cool, Dave.
Got the tower. It's still on the ground. I bought it last year, but I hope that this winter or early spring I get the tower in the air.
Yeah, man, you get that tower up. So yeah, I really like that idea a lot. If we do sort of like an interview portion where you ask people a couple of questions, like go from person to person, and each time it's like the same. So like you ask each person and then you edit it, so it's like, what got you into radio, or how did you start off in radio? And then one person gives their answer, and then it goes to the next person giving their answer, and then the next person giving their answer, that kind of thing. And do it quickly too. You don't want to have too long of a an explanation. It needs to be kind of short and
A
sweet.
response, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Give 'em
I think
just
that could
enough to
really
get
work.
them interested.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't have to be a whole big thing, and that's how you lose interest. Is some of these videos I've seen where they kind of go too long talking about one thing, but you got to kind of switch from one aspect to another. Because here's the other thing: I don't want the video, and I think that's one of my slides here, is that the video length. A lot of the videos talking about what ham radio is are 10 or 20 minutes long. And that is actually kind of a problem because you're like, here, check out what ham radio is. And they're like, oh my gosh, this video is 30 minutes long. And that can like give them an idea
Plenty of
before
time
they
to
go
to
in.
sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
They see that long number and they immediately lose interest.
There's a phrase to have, your 5-minute or 3-minute elevator speech. And,
Yeah.
and that's about it. It's got to be short. But the problem is ham radio covers so much stuff. You would have to have 365 1 or 2, maybe 3-minute elevator speeches just to touch the surface.
Joseph,
Yeah.
when Dallas uses that phrase of an elevator speech, do you understand what he's describing?
Kind of.
I just mean, well, okay, because it's a business term that is thrown around, but it is serious. It is the very succinct response to that big question of what is it you can do for the company? Or Dallas, come on and add in, give Joseph a better example of a 3-minute elevator speech.
Or tell me about yourself or something like that.
It's usually something that's done at someone's interview where they ask, what are your past accomplishments, or tell me a little bit about yourself, and then you don't hem-haw and around and just don't have something to say. You have a preset go button, and you just go, and
I see.
You just do your spiel.
And Dallas, the gentleman, or Joseph, the gentleman make a very valid point. Your video could be 3 or 4 episodes of 5 minutes. Make one of out at the Ham Fest where you're looking, make another of a shack, make another asking these 3-minute elevator speech questions. Don't limit yourself to only being one and try and put everything in it.
Yeah, because you can't. It's too big of a hobby. I mean, and you could do one on like, what's your favorite rig and why?
There you go. That's a good one.
What's your favorite antenna and why?
And make sure you show pictures that have the people that are responding to you, show the radio and show the antenna so that the newbies begin to put together the name and what it looks like, either the faceplate or the antenna itself, because that's hard starting out. I mean, it's a whole new world of lingo.
It's sure, you're absolutely right. And that's really interesting because I know whenever I get into a new facet of the hobby or whatever, I'm always going in kind of blind because there is lingo and there is, stuff. And especially with hardware, it's like, who knows, where do you start? And you can look at videos and stuff for where to start, but those aren't always great. But I really, really like the idea of going around to everybody and saying, what is your favorite? And then have them give a quick reason why they like it. And then have information and a picture of it or whatever. And I think that's really good. And so now I'm kind of realizing maybe we do need to have sort of a little series, like, at section 1, entry to ham radio, section 2, radios, section 3, antennas, section 4, events. Like you could have several of these.
That's correct.
And have each one be relatively short, but have so much information in there, really not like so much that they're overwhelmed, but do it in a way that it's not boring, but also gets you what you need.
I think another thing you could do, like first thing before you get into radios and antennas and that kind of thing, is you have an introductory video, and then the next one would be something entitled like, what can you do with ham radio? And then you can show the various things people do, emergency communications, storm chasing, all kinds of things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get into things of that nature, because that would tend to pique their interest, I would think, more than just starting into our discussions of equipment and that kind of thing.
Good idea, Rick.
Yeah, very much so. And it'd be really nice if we could get people in here who use ham for like storm chasing and stuff, so we can ask them, you know, how do you use this in your line of work, or how do you, well, not work, but how do you use this in your hobby or whatever. And that, I mean, that only kind of applies to storm chasing, but that's a really good way to kind of see how it mixes with other things. Because you know, you don't, you can do stuff that's not just ham, but ham is a big part of it, and that also kind of mixes in with the whole amateur radio hobby, I guess.
That's like, I think there's a video out there of a bunch of hams, and they were communicating during the Tuscaloosa tornado about 10 years ago, and you could see them using call signs and everything. You might want to put a little piece of that in there. Of course, you'd want to contact the people involved before you used a piece of their video, that kind of thing. Just something which generates excitement.
Yeah.
Well, and Joseph, there's a young man now that actually jumps out of planes and does QSOs on his way down.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
really.
You couldn't get me to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
He is, well, his avocation is that he is, you know, a jumper. Anyway, he teaches it. He's out of Illinois. And I've witnessed two of them. Now, granted, I mean, I've watched it online because I haven't been at home for a while, but yeah, he does. And they have a lot of fun.
Wow.
So you never know what you could find a ham radio at. Okay. I mean, you know, I've seen them take them and put them up in a hot air balloon. And as they travel, they're making QSOs going down, you know. So there's a lot of variety that, as Rick suggests, to make it interesting for people to watch.
Yeah, wow.
I've talked to a commercial pilot at 40,000 feet during field day.
There you go, Dave. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Yeah, because they've got the HF stuff on the plane.
Yeah.
Wow. See, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, he was just tooling around and heard me, and then he had the pile up. I lost the frequency to him. I had a spot. But
you can get the guy operating from his motorcycle too. They want that.
There you go.
I've never done one of those on HF. 2 meter 440, yes.
Yeah.
The other thing is, you could tell everybody, especially the younger people, that they're already ham radio operators.
Because of their phone?
Because of their phone. Their phone is a radio.
Yeah.
And they're already communicating with their friends. They're already, you know, playing games with each other. They're already communicating with each other as techs. And you could say, well, this is the big commercial ham radio side of things. You can do the same with, you know, way less than the power used for a light bulb, and you can talk across the world, or you can use digital communications or whatever. You could, you know, surprise them, you know, and tell them things that, you know, I mean, I tell my friends or people who say, well, what do you do? What can you do? And I said, well, you know, do you want to come round at 3 o'clock or something, and we'll listen to some satellites pass over? And they're going, what?
Oh man, it's another aspect of it, the satellite stuff.
The satellites really, because people are into communications, they understand, you know, there's satellites up there and stuff. But if you can tell them, yeah, we put our own amateur radio satellites up there, and, you know, with a little Mickey Mouse, you know, tape measure antenna, you can listen to, and you know, tell them that you can make your own equipment if you're that way inclined, or you can use your computer to do it.
Yeah.
I want to surprise them that they're already doing it.
Right.
You know.
And Joseph, for Dave's suggestion about the ISS, the school age children, the middle schools and upper elementary, are getting to hear and ask questions of the astronauts at the ISS. So that would be, you know, another little section where people wouldn't even realize that that's ham radio speaking to the astronauts at the ISS.
Yeah, you'd want.
Yeah, the only problem with that one is the school thing, to me, is a little bit too controlled and organized.
It is. The questions are all they're predefined. You know?
Yeah, and each person.
You have to do that.
Yeah, I know. I understand your school, you have to do that. But if you're trying to encourage people into the hobby and to say, well, you can talk to satellites, you can say, look, you can have this bit of pipe and a couple of tape measures. You can go out in your backyard and listen and talk to the satellites. That gives them a little bit more that it's them or you doing it, not some kind of big organization.
Dave,
Yeah.
I agree with you. To me, it's another picture that is part of the video. And all of a sudden that age child begins to ask mom and dad.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's not that you focus on the schools for ISS, but you can have a couple of snippet pictures. And then that age group is suddenly brought into the video also.
Well, that's the other thing, of course, is the fast scan TV that we did the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another aspect for
The video stuff.
But again, people are starting to, with your phone, you can take a video, you can text that video to your friend or whatever. And I mean, we can do FaceTime and stuff. So they're already doing it, but you're doing it without the heavy technology and the control of the big corporations.
Yeah.
And I guess the science aspect of it, if people are interested in, I mean, that's the two things. I mean, there's the science side of things for people. And then there's the actual physical operating side. I mean, I guess you could probably divide the hobby into two. What's interesting, I think it was what Ian said a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Ian anyway. Years ago, people used to make their own radios. Mm-hmm. And we don't do that anymore, but we do make our own antennas.
Yes.
Yep. Well, yeah.
And now we're starting with like the Raspberry Pis and stuff, that we're starting to make our own. I think the digital would appeal to a lot of people.
And there's another whole little, as you're making your list, Joseph, of what these little video series needs to be, digital is another whole new video.
A whole bag of worms, yeah.
Yep.
That's the trouble, as Alice says, it's a multifaceted hobby, and you can find something in it to, pique your interest.
Yeah. There's just so much, that you can go through.
Yeah. A great politician once said, someone can only concentrate for 9 minutes. Right. So absolutely, top whack should be 9 minutes.
Definitely.
I think it was Winston Churchill said that he never made any more of his speeches. He never made a speech that lasted more than 9 minutes. And he said, most people can't concentrate for more than 9 minutes.
Right.
No, yeah, you're right. These are all really good ideas.
Do you have another question?
Yeah, I do. I can't wait. See, we kind of already asked this. We are talking about this, but what should the setting of the video be? Hamfest, maybe Parks on the Air, or home video? We kind of already answered that, so we can sort of skip that one.
Setting, it's going to be boring.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true, Rick, but it's the idea that if you think about it, we understand what SOTA is and POTA is and JOTA is, but for somebody new to see that it is actually hike to the top of, or sit in your local park and
or to a lighthouse or something,
Exactly.
No, yeah, you're right. I think editing is going to be a large part of this, because if you look up what Parks on the Air is, you're going to get a bunch of videos telling you what it is, but they all have the same flaw, and that's that they just kind of, even me who loves the hobby and loves to hear about this kind of thing, even I end up losing interest after a while, just because they're not done in a manner that is interesting, I guess is the best way to say it. I mean, even from someone who's interested in the hobby and they're not done.
They don't stay focused on what the main idea is.
Exactly. They'll kind of go off on a because there are so many aspects to it. Even just doing Parks on the Air, there's so many aspects. There's radios, there's antennas, there's locations, there's how to operate. And so it's very easy to go off on a tangent or just kind of choose a path and just go down that. I think that, and I don't, how, let's see, what were they, the early 2000s? I'm not sure, I didn't watch a lot of TV ever, but TV shows used to be have very fast editing, and they were kind of stupid, and they always were just like trying to keep your attention desperately because they would always switch between stuff super quickly. But I almost feel like something like that, and that kind of circles back to the interview kind of thing where you ask a question and then you give each person's answer one after the other, kind of, that you have to keep moving along while staying focused. You know, the first, you know, first small section is walking up to the location, and then you switch to setting up, and then you maybe go to a couple of the people there and they give a quick description of what they're setting up, and then you you know, then you show the setup once it's finished, and then you switch to operating, and then now you give a brief description of what each person is doing operating, and then you can have like a really quick description of that, even, you know, say, oh, I'm doing FT8, and then you'd be like, you know, and then you turn the camera and you're like, FT8 is da, 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 da. So something like that, and doing it, staying focused, I think, is the main thing. And that's where almost every video fails, is that they kind of don't stay focused too. So if you go to find a video, what is Parks on the Air? They end up talking about FT8 for 5 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. I mean,
and some of those modes bore people to death.
That too, yeah. See, that's why we don't want to spend too much time on any one thing.
As soon as you said FT8, I was ready to leave the room. Because I find that to be the most boring thing on the planet, other than possibly talking satellite, because I don't want to give my call and get a grid square and I'm done.
Right.
I want a QSO.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I like the Jamboree on the Air kind of thing, or to me, the first few times I did Parks on the Air, the person that was at the park was telling us all about the park, and that park had like about 60 different really cool things in it. You know,
Yeah.
And he would tell us, like, so the first couple of people that he would talk to, he would tell them about the first really cool thing, and then the next couple he'd tell them about the other really cool thing about the park. And it's like, I want to go to that park. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of it now.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yes.
But Joseph, make an outline and stick to it, and do the old 3 points, 3-point outline, nothing more. An introduction, your 3 points, and a conclusion, and let it be.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Because you don't want to spend you don't want to linger.
No, and you can always make a second video.
Exactly. And each video would be about one thing.
Correct.
So you wouldn't have that problem. Well, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here.
No,
Or it could be the same questions asked to different people.
Yeah.
Like Lynn was saying, you ask some old fogey his question, then you get somebody your age, you get somebody in between. If you can find somebody that's a preteen that's a ham,
right,
ask them.
Right.
I guess the extra class that we had in Austin, I guess she's almost a teenager now, if not already a teenager. But she was an extra at like 9.
Wow.
Yes.
8 or 9.
Dallas.
Yes.
Joseph has siblings that are the same.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got a bunch
extra class,
A bunch of
but
them.
they are barely teenagers, and that's okay. We love it.
Yeah, the one thing is I'm not sure if they're going to be able to be on the channel, because we're kind of careful with what we put on the internet.
Joseph, there were 20, I think it was 20 teenagers who were given a ham radio camp this summer at Dayton, the museum. Those young people are also available for interviews, I'm sure, because I've seen, I think, 4 of them that attended this ham radio camp for a week.
Wow.
So I'm sure there are young people, like Dallas said, there are teenagers that would be willing to talk to you about ham radio.
Yeah, they're few and far between, but I know of one already that would be happy to do an interview. He'd be a lot of help.
There you go.
But yeah, no, you're right. Let's see what the next question is. Well, this kind of goes back. See, I made all these questions when I was still going off the one video premise, but it was going to be, what should the focus be? Should we talk about HF more, or VHF and UHF? But I think now that we're going to do multiple videos, this is kind of a moot point because we can do all of it. But I'm really glad that y'all have brought to me the idea of actually doing a kind of series of short and to the point, short but sweet videos to talk about each little facet.
I don't think you have to be specific as far as the band that's used, i.e., HF, VHF, or UHF. I think because most things that we can do are similar on all bands.
Yeah.
Maybe not satellites, but certainly FT8 is a HF thing, but it's also used on 6 meters, not used, well, it's moved for moon banks up in the gigahertz band. So, I guess we have to kind of work on the thing. It's about communication, but it's not all about communication because of the science that's involved. Somebody might, that's the other thing is, maybe we should try to get science teachers involved, because they would have maybe a fair idea of how to direct it towards. That's the other thing is, what's your target audience?
Would be.
Is it youth? Is it?
It's not. I don't want it to be just youth. I want it to be kind of everybody. I
was thinking today. I went to. We've got a butterfly gardens here, and I know quite a few people. Our club is actually coming. If anybody wants to come, you can come next Thursday to have a guided tour of the butterfly gardens. I'll give you the details later. But I was talking to one of the ladies there, and I said, you better tidy this place up because I'm bringing some radio friends of mine. And she said, what's that, ham radio? And I said, yeah. And she said, do people still do that? And I was thinking, that's right, because ham radio, you didn't have to explain what it was back in the, I guess, when I was a kid, 50s or 60s or whatever, because, my mom and pop were playing around with crystal radios and bits of wire, trying to listen to, commercial stations or the news, the BBC or whatever. And ham radio, when I was a kid, there was a ham radio guy practically in every single village and town.
Yep.
And so, do people still do it? Maybe that's a good title. Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of those village idiots, village hams, were unapproachable.
That's true, Dave.
I don't know. That might be an American thing. They weren't in because I was in the Scouts and we were always going around. We had 2 in the town where I was born, and they were both G3s. I guess that gives you some idea of it was. But they were always inviting us round for something or other. They weren't standoffish at all. They weren't
the proverbial.
But that's down to individuals. That's, as you say. Yeah, there was the recluse who sits down in the basement and talks to. Well, we still get it now, don't we?
That's right.
Recluse on 80 meters. That's his frequency. He talks to his friends every morning at that time, and God forbid if you get anywhere near it.
But Joseph, I really think you should focus on a portion of the radio art. That way it allows you a series to grow through instead of making one video that you hope touches everybody, because it's just not going to be.
Yeah. And that allows more creativity as well, I think.
That's correct.
You can make one long video that's 20 minutes, but if you break it up more, that allows you to actually kind of treat each one as a separate section.
You make it too long, you might produce 55% of the time asleep.
There you go.
Careful.
That's what I want to avoid at all costs. I don't want it to be boring, because if we're honest here, a lot of the hams on YouTube, and there are some exceptions, but even the best of them, they all kind of make that mistake of being a little bit boring.
Why do you think, Joseph? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Why do you think it is? I really don't know.
How about it? And I think the gentlemen that are here with us will understand. Lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
I can only be enthusiastic about what I know. And the only way I know it in ham radio is to do it enough that I'm comfortable that I then become an Elmer for somebody else. And that's the difficulty as you look at a lot of the YouTube ham radio guys. It depends on how long they've been in the art. It depends on how they focused into that. What are they? And I think that's the other reason. Now, can it go the other extreme, which means they know so much that they never bring it to the newbies level? Okay. But I just think it's a lack of knowledge.
No.
Yeah,
and it could just be that their interest is not your interest.
That's true, Dallas.
They could have been that FT8 person, and they are that's what they want to do. They are, I just, for the club up here, a few weeks ago, well, a few months ago, I should say, we had a guy who did a really nice presentation on 6 meters and meteor scatter. But to me, it's like FT8. You set up the computer to do all this stuff, and it repeats the same message over and over and over again, waiting for that trail from that meteor to go through for it to make that contact.
Yeah.
And that other person replies, and it might take you 45 minutes to a couple of hours to make that contact. To me, that's more boring than FT8 on steroids.
Yeah.
But there are folks that love to do it. Again, it's not my bailiwick, but we had folks here that wanted to hear about it and wanted to know about it. So I found a guest speaker. He did a wonderful job. But that's not my cup of tea.
Right.
Yeah, I must admit that taking one of these sideways things we're talking about, the very first time I had anything to do and I saw a demonstration of moon bounce, or bouncing signals off of the moon, and as you say, it was like 2 hours to set it up and everything else. We sent the transmission about a dozen times, and then all of a sudden a ping came back after, it was quite a long time. It was almost like 30 seconds, maybe. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but it was a certain period, and the ping came back, and everyone was all excited. And I was thinking, is that it? Because we got our own signal back from the moon.
Yep.
But as you say, the people who were really into that were really enthusiastic, and we got our own signal back from the moon. Whoa,
And I'd almost want to do a whole video on which is your favorite, winter field day or summer field day. What's your favorite winter field day story? What's your top 10 favorite winter field day stories? And what's your top 10 winter summer field day stories?
Yeah, well, that depends. To me, winter field day was a little better than the field day, because there's field day. It's not summer, it's field day, and then there's winter field day. But when I was up north, winter field day always came at the worst time of year.
You know why? Because down here in the south, summer field day comes at the worst.
Exactly. Yeah. But what it was, winter field day to me was quite exciting, because I could work. There'd be, people on the air, and you could work all these southern stations or whatever that had made the effort to go out. And I was doing it from my shack when it was, 20, 30 inches of snow outside, and, 18, 19, 20 degrees in the beginning of February or end of January. So, winter field day, I think, depends on whether you're up north. And I mean, we had guys who would go out and camp overnight and everything else for winter field day. They were crazy. That's why I live here now, because I don't like the weather. But
when they have to take the tires off the minivan and set them on the ground and set them on fire so that they can soften up the ground to drive the ground rod into the ground,
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that's a winter field day.
Uh,
Yeah, but for us in the South,
when
you're
you're-
talking like 30 inches of snow. I've done some of these things in the South. With in the field day, we got 30 inches of dead mosquitoes.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
And you're making contacts between lightning bolts. You know?
There you go.
Oh
But,
yeah.
but Joseph,
Right
David,
here, you get 30 inches of live mosquitoes,
Right.
let alone dead ones.
Well,
there's a great idea. Ask 4 generations of hams what's their best field day story. And just let it live, just like that. Just let it
The thing
live.
is, field day won't mean anything to anybody who's not already a ham.
Well, I agree with you, but it's where if you're in a series now of videos and it's the idea you're showcasing the different parts of, you've
Oh,
mentioned
yeah.
parks on the air a little bit, or you've mentioned field day in passing, meaning that's what a ham club will do or something.
Yeah.
But yes, the stories, for those of us who have not been around long enough, we love to hear the stories.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a really
the
good
biggest
idea.
story, the other thing that surprises people is, like they say, for field day, there's 35,000 amateurs get out of their homes and go into, parks, fields, or whatever to put radio stations on the air. Now,
Yep.
that surprises a lot of people.
Mhm.
And they think, wow, 35,000, that's, same population as Bonita Springs, if you like. It's except
I think it's a real statistic that people are able to grasp.
Yeah, they're able to grasp and think, oh, wow, people still do that.
Mhm.
They don't in Wyoming, but everywhere else they do.
You know,
Yeah,
so-
that's really
You
cool.
haven't worked Wyoming yet?
Oh,
Yeah.
stop it.
Rare to,
I've been researching Wyoming. We're going off on another tangent now. I've been researching Wyoming. I've discovered why there is no place such as Wyoming, because the population at, what's it called? Where the geezers are. It's 48% national parks, Wyoming.
Yes.
Oh.
And Yellowstone is the biggest. Now,
Yes.
Yellowstone daily has more visitors than
Than
the
the
population of
population.
Cheyenne, which is the
Yeah.
capital of Wyoming.
which is all the way on the other end of the state.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
The thing is anybody that comes and visits anybody that lives in Wyoming has to take them to at least Yellowstone or some other park.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how it was with me at the historical downtown Charleston, South Carolina. If we had anybody that came and visited, somebody in the family had to take somebody all over the town,
Right.
show them all the old things and whatnot. And, I used to have a spiel. I had all that stuff memorized.
Good for you. Joseph, what's your next question?
Yeah, sorry.
All right, let's see. We already talked about how long it should be. Final ideas. Anything else we missed? We're coming up here on our 1 hour mark. So yeah, I really like the idea of doing multiple videos, and I'm definitely gonna do that. And then we got asking a bunch of generations of hams what their idea of ham radio is, what their favorite this, what their favorite that is a really good way that I have never seen done before. A lot of these things are things that I haven't seen anybody do before with ham radio, and that's why I think it's going to work so well, is because it's never been done before, and it'll actually be good.
Something else you can look at, de-expedition videos.
There you go.
That'll put somebody to sleep too.
Well, and Dallas, I agree, but for 3.5 minutes to state that for someone who loves to travel, the ham
Go to
radio
weird
operators are doing DX Expedition. And for 3 minutes with some neat, like Costa Rica full pictures, or they went to the South Pole recently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for,
Yeah, the Antarctic. I didn't think they got to the South Pole, but
they went. I think you're correct, Dave, that it was Antarctica, but I know it was going to be cold, so it was like, forget it.
So one of my coworkers spent $30,000 and 2.5 weeks vacation and worked his butt off
Okay.
to do
A DX, where was it?
The Galapagos Islands, or
Oh,
however you
yeah,
pronounce that.
Oh, yeah.
that's cool.
You know, and he brought back a bunch of pictures, and then he had to tell all the local clubs about it. And yeah, and his claim to fame was he helped network all the computers for the guys who are doing all the logging, and
Oh,
they used Wi-Fi.
Setting up one of those
the
things
mesh
should be.
uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
mesh system for doing linking all the computers and whatnot, and that was his claim to fame. And he got to operate a little bit, but yeah, a bazillion little lamb-clad crabs and some kind of dodo bird that was around everywhere.
Right. But that man has a memory for life. That is a memory.
Yeah, perhaps that's what they need in Wyoming: giant turtles and a dodo bird.
Messing up all your equipment. The crabs come over, so the cable's laying on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. So we got to work cut out for us then. We're gonna make this, and I really hope it turns out good. I'm gonna do my best on this.
The other thing you might want to think about is, I know that the college, I'm pretty sure it's the college where we're having the
FGCU.
FSW.
Oh,
They have media courses there. I know they have audio mixing courses and stuff, and video mixing courses. I don't know if they have, but whether anyone there would be interested in, helping out or giving some ideas, because that's something that they might pick up on.
Maybe that's something to ask to if we see anybody at the Ham Fest.
right.
To,
Mhm.
from the college, that might be a good thing to ask them.
I'm pretty sure they do. I know they do audio mixing classes and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, and Ian would have connections in that field.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, very much so.
All right,
Yeah.
another way of how to do these things. If you ever watch on the Fox channel, what's this man's name?
The Waters guy that sends.
Waters World.
Yep.
How he does his little interviews, but he sometimes he shows like a picture of somebody that everybody ought to know who that is, and it's amazing how many people don't know. But yes, so you don't want to put somebody on the spot, but you could ask folks about various radio things that they should know about.
Oh wait, hold on. So hold on. Tell me if I'm completely confused here, but are you mean like someone who goes on the street and asks passerbys a question?
Mhm.
Yes, but
Oh.
you're walking through either a swap fest or a ham radio event where a club is set up at a park for doing whatever the Florida QSO party is. I don't know if y'all have clubs down there that get together and throw 4 or 5 stations, kind of like a field day type event. I know that my club here, we treat the Georgia QSO party, summer and winter field day. We do them almost all the same. The site might be different, the number of stations might be different, but we go for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah, George Keystone party. They run around in cars and work all the different counties, but you got 159 counties to play with.
Really?
Yeah,
Yep.
for summer field day, we have 8 stations on the air. That doesn't count the get on the air station or the VHF UHF station. That's a lot of transmitters. And then they do something here that I've never seen anybody else do, and they have one receive antenna as far away as you can from all the transmit antennas.
Oh wow.
That eliminates a lot of the hash that we get, and all of the transmit antennas are horizontal, but the receive antenna is vertical. And during field day, it doesn't matter that much. but it cuts down on the crap that the receive antenna has to get. And then you throw in the bandpass filter so that you filter out some of the other crap that you don't want to listen to, and it works out incredibly well.
Wow.
I would put their 8 stations on par with less QRM than what I had in Texas with going 2 alpha.
Wow.
Because I was always the get on the air station. I was always the second, fourth, or whatever harmonic to the other station.
You'd be on 20 meters and somebody'd be over
I'd
there
be on
across
10
the
most of the
road.
time. I'd be on 10 most of the time, but or 20, and
20.
I'd be getting clobbered.
Yeah.
If you can imagine someone with 2 pencils shoving them in your ear and then
Ooh.
tapping on the erasers with hammers, yeah, that's what it
Gosh.
felt like.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I know how it is. My remote receiver, my SDR receiver, there's a guy like literally right down the street from it who's a ham. And every now and then he'll get on there and it just floods the whole waterfall. And you can tell he's on single sideband because of just you don't know what frequency he's on, but you know he's operating because it is bad. It screws everything up. You can't hear anything.
Yeah, but that's the problem with the SDR, isn't it? I mean, it's open from DC to light. So you've got gain across the whole frequency spectrum. So if you had some filters in there, you could filter him out, couldn't you?
Yeah.
As long as he wasn't on that band.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So if you always had it on 40 or 20, you could put a filter that would only pass that one band, and that would help reduce a lot.
Yeah, that's what I found with this SDR. I use the SDR, and I thought they were expensive, and I thought I could do the same with the cheap ones, but you can't because the SDR, what do they call this thing?
The Raspberry Pi.
No, the SDR Uno, the SDR
Oh,
Play. Those, they're expensive, but they've got a bunch of bandpass filters in them, and they're switched as you go up and down. So basically, you know, I mean, I got one of those little ones here, and I could hear the water board. They've just been replacing all our meters around here, and they've been testing them and everything else, and talking back to the office, and you know, you name it. And I couldn't hear them at all on SDR Uno, on the SDR Play, but they were coming in on the SDR, you know, the little $27 thing.
Yeah. Right
through. So, you know, that's just because those, I mean, they listen to everything. They've got, appears to me, they got equal gain from like 5 hertz all the way up to a couple of kilohertz, a couple of gigahertz. I don't know.
Yeah, some of them they'll have the reception across the entire spectrum is not equal. You know, the ones that are designed for, it does fluctuate. It usually goes down as you go lower in frequency, like the sensitivity goes down as you go lower, especially with the cheap ones. But that's usually kind of what they're like. All right. Well, it's 9 o'clock, so we're gonna take a little break here for about 5 minutes or so. I'm gonna go get a drink of water, and then I'm gonna come back. And then after that, we will have we'll be talking about the connected repeater system and the news and the rest of the tech net. So I'll be back in about 5 minutes, and see you when I get back.
Takes 31.
Hey, Dave, on Wyoming, you missed the Wyoming QSO party 2 weeks ago. That would have been a good time for you to score a contact.
Yeah, no, I didn't miss it. I couldn't. It wasn't the. Hang on a second. Let me get you back.
What is that, when they get together in a phone booth and put up an antenna?
Yeah. Was it the Wyoming QSO party, or was it the 6 series or 5 series or something? Well, I couldn't hear any stations. I mean, the other day was the California QSO party, and the band just let us down. I didn't hear all but a couple of stations.
No, I was operating the slow speed test this afternoon on CW, and we had, I think I had Washington, Oregon, let's see, not Wyoming. I don't know if I've ever contacted Wyoming, but
I tell you.
Idaho and Utah and all the states around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the QSO party for Wyoming. It was 2 weeks ago. And right now, VOA has got 80, 40, 30, and 20 meters as being possible usable, but anything above that, 17, 15, 12, and 10, they're just saying no, negative. So
no, I know that the band's gone to pieces today. It's been really, really good. I've worked some stunning DX the last couple of weeks, but let me.
Yeah, I worked a station in the Netherlands this afternoon.
May I ask why you feel the bands are bad tonight?
I'm looking at 20 meters and there's nothing on there.
Yeah.
Now, last night, there is no stations on 20 meters at all. And all the bands above. Last night, I worked, let me get my logbook up. I worked Japan this time last night on 15 meters. So basically, you can usually tell because, the stations are there. They're talking, locally to each other or whatever.
Right.
But there's no, I don't know whether the atmosphere's been messed up or whatever, but let me see, what was I going to do? I was going to show you now.
right now,
yeah.
Voice of America says that you got a 84% chance of contacting on 40 meters and an 81% on 30 meters, but the rest of the bands are marginal or no.
Yeah.
Dave,
Yeah.
are you using Voice of America website for that?
Yeah, the VOA CAP.
Thank you.
Yeah, this time of night, once the grey line's gone by, this evening I worked a couple of good stations. I worked Japan this evening on 15 meters on the grey line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can show you. Well, we're going to get clever here. This may not work. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
That's my logbook. I know this is Dallas's favorite mode. If you look at the times, I worked Argentina at 23, so that's 8 o'clock. Oh no, 7 o'clock. Japan, just a little bit before that. Belgium in the afternoon. I've got some good ones in here, but they're not on no. So the band was, and that's 15. I've been concentrating on 15 meters on FTA. I've been kind of house bound for a little while. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'll try something. I haven't got an antenna for 15 meters. It's supposed to be a low signal mode. So I thought, okay, let's give FTA a chance on, see in the evenings a couple of times I did hit 40 meters, but now it's dead, it's gone. And then if you look at, let me see, we're looking around 20. No, let me go to the next page. A couple of days ago, I know I worked quite a few. Oh no, that's the frequency. I'm looking for the time. Yeah, see 1 o'clock in the, oh, that's only Texas. This is all UTC. Yeah, here we go. I worked Japan at 11 minutes after 8 in the afternoon, in the evening.
Okay.
So, and also the United States. So yeah, the bands just are dead tonight. I don't know why. I mean, I tend to keep an eye on the space weather and everything. There's no indications. I mean, the
No
radio,
solar flares or anything.
no, well, there are a bunch of them. But the SFU or whatever you want to call it, the index is 82, which is not bad. It's not good. It's usually down in this. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit low, but just funny. Now I got to get rid of this. There we go.
Thank you.
So the bands are, yeah, I can't show you. I need to get a free camera because the camera's built into the monitor.
Yes,
But
understood.
here I'm running SDR Play, and you can see that it's just, if I could show you, there's nothing on there.
Okay.
But 40 meters, there's a few stations. But if you look at DX, I use dxwatch.com. And if you look there, there's a couple of Canadians talking to each other on 20 meters. That's about it.
I'll check those two sites out. Thank you.
Yeah, DX Watch, and the other one is DX Maps. They're good sites for looking and seeing what's going on. Oh, okay. Whose website's there? Who's
This is mine.
Oh, cool.
This is my,
yeah, on 40 meters.
yeah. There's not much voice activity. There's a lot of FT8 and a little bit more. So what was the other band? 20 meters was also
No,
not
he was
working?
looking at
20 meters,
15.
nothing on, but look, hold on a sec. 'Cause I'm going to turn my computer around.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know how well you can see, but this
Yeah, we
is
can see.
this is
Very
40
well.
meters. So that's my 40 meters against your 40 meters.
Huh.
Wow.
And all I've
Yeah,
got is an indoor antenna, and I've got a 80 meter offset. This is on the 80 meter off center fed window up in the attic. I can go to the 20 meter. No, that's not as good. Okay. So I've got, I don't know, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. I've got 23 workable stations on 40 meters.
I have like 3.
You need to get a longer piece of wire,
It's never enough.
a bigger piece of wire. Yeah, but if I show you now, if I go to 20 meters,
Up your antenna.
hold on 1 second. If I go to 20 meters, there's 20 meters.
Hey, wait a second. Hold on. What is this? I'm going to share my thing then. I am seeing, it looks like 2 FT8s.
Yes,
Look at
there's
this.
FT4 and FT8.
They both last the same amount of time though. Look,
Yeah, but
at least here. Isn't like, see, they both start at the same time. Isn't FT4 like really fast and FT8's longer?
Yes, that is a valid
were you on
statement.
40 meters?
Yeah,
Yeah, me too. Look at that.
we both have it. What is that?
Well, I'm going to listen to them and see. It may not be.
Well, but on FT8, everybody keys at the same time.
Or they key on the off, so they could key on the A instead of the B.
Right.
Well, that's FT8 for sure. And so is that. Yeah, you're right. There's 2 FT8s. One is supposed to be 7074. and the other one's at 70.775. Well, that's interesting. Is there? Oh, isn't there an FT8 contest going on or something?
Oh, you know what? That might be it. If there is, I don't know. That's interesting. It might be. Dallas, are you bored yet?
Now I'm looking at my radios. Yeah, then I'm seeing the same stuff you're seeing, except I see the same. I seem to have more 40-meter people to talk to.
Yeah.
So if you see me over here, if you don't hear me on this, and you see me doing this, then you know you lost me, and I'm over here.
I just last time we took a trip down to Alabama, which is pretty recently, I went through some effort to actually get my waterfall cleaned up because there was a lot of noise on there. Now it's a lot I don't know, there's a lot less interference than there was, and I can actually do 80 meters now.
Joseph, what did you do within your program to clean it up?
It wasn't within the program. I mean, you can adjust like the waterfall brightness and things like that, but what I actually did was I had a laptop and an IP camera sitting up there by the actual radio, and the Ethernet cables were putting out a lot of noise.
Okay.
So I actually relocated a bunch of my equipment to a different part of the house. So the laptop is far away from the receiver, and the camera's far away. And I also had an Ethernet splitter sitting up there, which was causing some problems too. So I removed all that, and the camera, actually, as soon as you plug the camera in, the whole waterfall goes up a little bit. Like it emits some kind of wideband interference. So turning that off,
grounded.
The antenna is grounded.
Oh.
But there's no way to ground the camera and the laptop. I mean, you could ground the power, I guess. But
is the camera connected via USB?
No, it's power over Ethernet, and the Ethernet is connected to the internet. But now it looks so much better. I mean, there's still a little bit, especially on 80. 80 was completely unusable before. It was just like a giant mess. Like it was, the noise floor was like red all the time. But now it's actually very clear, and you can actually use it. And I've been surprised by the amount of activity on 80 meters.
That's great.
Yeah, it was a huge improvement. And the camera's actually in a better spot now. And the laptop, doesn't matter where the laptop is, because the laptop had the VHF receiver on it. So that can go anywhere. But I couldn't move the HF receiver because that was going out the antenna, out the window. But it's working a lot better now. I'm surprised how well it's working even now. And you can go at even lower frequencies. Supposedly, this setup should be able to go down to like 100 kilohertz. Or actually, no, I think it was 500 hertz. Like it goes really, really low. But obviously, when you get down that low, there's so much noise. I'm still trying to be able to receive the time station for the atomic clocks. It's on 60 kilohertz. Did it just bug out? Where's my? Oh, it's over here. Yeah, WWVV, or is that what it was? I still can't hear it.
Yeah.
It should be showing up here.
Do you have any radio control clocks there? That's what you're picking up there.
Oh.
Yep, I've got one on my wall actually. There's still interference from the Ethernet cord running to the Raspberry Pi, as you can see right here in this little column here. That's Ethernet noise.
Have you tried putting a couple of turns through a toroid?
Yes, I did, and it helped. These were about twice as bad before I put the little toroids on there.
And also the power supply. You know those wall warts?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got a wall wart feeding your Wi-Fi device, but that's they're pretty noisy sometimes.
Can you put a toroid on those, Dave?
Sorry?
Can you put a toroid on a wall wart?
Yeah. Yeah, what I use, I haven't got many left. You can buy these kits. I don't know if you can see these. I don't know where I am. They're,
yes.
You know, the different sizes.
Oh, yes, the little snappy, the snap one.
Yeah. And if you can use a bigger one and put, you know, a couple of turns in them. And in fact, actually, if you know the frequency, I've got something a little later on that I wanted to show people, but you can actually work out the amount of turns on which toroid you need to eliminate things, there's a website that gives you all that info. But I was
Ooh,
gonna do
that would be great.
That would be very helpful.
Do you want to do it now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Look, if you go, my website of the week, Ian has a website of the week, so I thought
Oh yeah, we should.
because he's not here.
This is good. Okay.
So my website of the week, if you're all standing by at your computers, is hfkits.com. So it's HF, one word, HF Kits, one word. So Hotel Fox Kilo India Tango Sierra.com. Click along the top. If you click the little Union Jack, the British flag, it's all in English. Now they sell a bunch of kits, and I've actually bought them.
Whenever it's before you translate it, when it says antenna kits, it says Dipole antenna kits.
Yeah. Jared, no, I think that's a Dutch site.
It's Holland. I think it's Dutch, but anyway, that's not the good bit. If you click it onto English, and then you've got the menus, and you go to technique, and then you've got those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those 6 things are fantastic. So if you go to common mode filters, and then scroll down, you've got the amount of turns of the coax you need, either air fed or with a type 43 toroid, a type 31, a type 61, a type 52, and it gives you the best area it works on. It's really cool. So
wow.
So it says, like here, look, if you want to do, so if you've got a bunch of noise coming in, I don't know, let's say on 40 meters, you've got a bunch of noise coming in and you want to filter it out. You want to put a bandpass filter in. So you can use type 31 with 5 turns of RG58 on a type 31 toroid, and that should give you a filter.
Excellent.
Wow.
But all the other under technique, okay, the rest of it is selling stuff, and it's not bad. The kits are really quite good. So this is the kit. I want to make an end-fed because Lee, who talked to us a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
So I thought, I'd buy the parts. But when I looked at buying all the parts, you got to buy, 10 capacitors and 200 feet of wire or whatever. And then I found these guys, and this is the kit. It's got absolutely everything in it. I don't know if you can see.
Wow.
Neat.
And it's not that expensive. It's no more expensive than buying the individual parts, except you don't end up with 20. And this is really cool.
What is that?
Oh, that's nice.
Well, it is. See, it takes the toroid and then you wrap it round with the holes for a wire ties to hold it in place.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how well you can see it. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
the 2
really
different
cool.
toroids, the small ones and the big ones. But if you look on the website, and you get everything. You get the copper wire.
Yeah.
You get all the
Bits and bobs that you
there
need.
you go.
stuff. You get the capacitor and the socket. And it's $40.
Not bad.
That's so
No.
cool.
And you get the case. So, but I didn't, it wasn't and you get a bunch of tight wire ties, you get the whole thing. But I didn't think it was, that's not the reason. The kits are cool. But the reason was all that technical stuff you got. And it's the same. It tells you, on every one of those 5 or 6 items under technical, you can, if you choose one of the other ones.
How hard is it to get that stuff shipped in the United States since they're over there?
Unbelievable. I ordered it on the Thursday and it was here on Monday.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess they filled a hole in the FedEx. It was under the pilot's seat or something.
They must have gotten a hold of Scotty and have it beamed over here.
I tell you, yeah, you couldn't get it that quick from Gigaparts.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And considering the time difference as well, I was surprised. I actually wonder if they've got like somebody here who's got a garage full of all their parts.
Probably
I bet they do.
a US distribution point.
Yeah, it did come with a international invoice, and they put it at $17.36 because anything less than $20 you don't have to pay import duty on. So they obviously knew that, because they made it $17.38. I mean, if you'd have made it $19.99, you know, the import tax man would have been playing up. So,
Right.
So they're quite clever. I mean, obviously it was a lot more than $17. It was $40.
That's kind of like when I ordered something from QRP Labs. Well, they're in Turkey, but what they've got a distribution center in Missouri, so that's where the package came from.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I don't know where it came from because there's nothing on the box. So, but hang on, maybe there is.
I'll have to check that out. It's HF. What's the name of it again?
HF kits.
HF kits.
HF Kits. Okay.
So quite a simple, and I mean the kits that they've got are phenomenal. I mean, you know, but I don't know. This looks really cool. I haven't built it yet. So, but it looks like, and Lee built one. You know, Lee was here doing the Nano VNA. He did a Nano VNA lecture for us on Wednesday. It was very, very good. And he modified it from the one that he gave us the week before, you know, based on our questions, I guess.
So
but I was looking
half
for.
wave are you gonna build?
Sorry.
That is an in-fed half wave, isn't it? Which band do you?
The one I'm building is the. I've got to go to the shop. It's the one with 15 added in. It's only 100 watts. Hang on a second.
The 40 or 80 meter length.
80 meter.
Oh, cool.
Okay. They all get 15 meters.
Oh yeah. 15, 20,
No, the smaller ones don't.
40, 80.
They should.
Well, yeah, but
How long is the antenna gonna be?
as long as I haven't worked that out yet. Whatever it is, 135 feet, something like that.
Yeah, you should be able to get to 80 and 40 and all of them.
Yeah. And what I'm hoping to do, it's I've got some really thin wire that's really flexible. So I'm seeing if I can go from an oak tree down the other side of my house between me and next door. I'm going to go from an oak tree to a palm tree and put the end fed at the palm tree and then bring it back up through to my garage into here. So, and now's the time for putting stuff up. If you live in an HOA and you want to put wires up into your trees or your palm trees, whatever, now is the perfect time because you can go up there and make out you're putting Christmas lights up.
There you go. There you go.
Just say it's a special kind of Christmas light. It doesn't have any bulbs.
Oh, no, I just put a few Christmas lights up, you know, wrap them around the tree.
It's an extension cord.
And they flicker at the blinking of FT8.
There you go. There you go.
And then if you want to do any modifications, you can do the modifications when you take the lights down.
That's awesome. We have one more little section to go through, and I think this is perfect because now it's not as long of a section, and then it's 9:30. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll be done with that, and we can continue our rag chew or whatever we want to do. So I'm gonna share screen. Here we go. All right. The FMRC has a linked system now. It's a system about 3 or 4 repeaters, and people have been having issues with their PL tones. And I'm going to try and not make this as too long as possible because they already talked about this a bunch, and I felt like they were kind of talking down to people a little bit. But yeah, they have the linked repeater, so they all operate as one. So when you key up on one, all of them light up, and you can be heard across many different repeaters. And the purpose of it was to give full county coverage because right now none of the repeaters we have really cover all of Lee County. If you go down south, you're out of range of the 685, and that's where some of the nets take place. And if you go up too far north, then you're out of range of the 820. So this new whole repeater system is really good because it actually covers pretty much everything. And we're going to show a map here in a minute of where the actual repeaters are. We've got the 147.345 in Lehigh Acres. All of these have the same PL tone. It's 136.5. And they're all going to have the same offset, or sorry, when you program these into a radio, the radio usually puts in the offset for you. It's usually a negative offset. We don't have the offsets here written down, but that shouldn't be a problem because most radios will autofill that in. Even the Baofengs do that, I think. So we've got the 147.345 in Lehigh Acres. That's pretty close to me. We have the 147.225 in Cape Coral. That repeater actually used to be a fusion and analog. And I actually remember scanning one night and hearing the fusion come through. And I was like, I couldn't understand why they wanted to have two modes on one repeater, because everyone else doesn't have a fusion radio. It just made this awful noise. Anyway, now it's analog only. So yeah, it's linked up.
Diesel engine.
It sure did. It was like, I mean, it was really obnoxious.
Well, you turn on your PL tone and you don't hear it.
That's a good point. I didn't try that. I just put it's a skip scan. That's a good idea, though. I guess it wouldn't put out a tone when you were.
Yeah, it doesn't put out a tone, so you don't hear it.
I'll remember that if I encounter that in the future. We've got the 147.285 in Bonita Springs. And, of course, the 220 repeater is linked as well, which is kind of funny because the $1.25 net, you're supposed to check in on 220, but now everybody checks in on different bands other than 220. All right, so some people have been having trouble with the repeaters. Most of them put out the 136.5 tone as well as listen for the 136.5 tone. Yeah, there are a few exceptions to that. I think the SARnet doesn't use 136.5, and there might be one or two other repeaters that use a different tone. I know some of them use 77 hertz. I think we have another repeater in the area that uses 77 hertz. So yeah, we got the PL tone on there so that, spurious signals don't get in there and everything. We already kind of know what's up with that. So yeah, the All-Star box itself, the thing that's linking the repeaters together, it doesn't put in a PL tone. And the way they have it set up on these repeaters, I believe it's not all the repeaters, but I know that one or two of the repeaters have the same controller, the DR1X, and it doesn't inject the PL tone. Basically, the All-Star box injects the audio after the PL tone. So the PL tone never gets activated because the All-Star box just kind of goes direct into the transmitter. So there's no PL tone on some of these. So it doesn't send a PL tone out. And this has been causing quite an issue, apparently, because most people have tone squelch on. And if the repeater is not putting out the tone, then they don't hear it. You see the signals come up on the signal meter, but they don't hear any audio. So if you're listening to these repeaters and you don't hear audio, make sure that you're set to T-tone or transmit tone, but not TSQL, not tone squelch. Because the handheld or the radio is going to listen for that tone from the repeater, and when it doesn't hear it, it's not going to open your squelch. So that's pretty much all there is to that. We have a whole thing here about going through your menus. Yazoo radios usually show the tone squelch option as ENC or encode. Kenwoods usually show it as T or TX or tone. Some of the other radios just show tone. If you see TSQL, that means you have tone squelch, and that's not what you want. So now you want to change that to just encode. I know that if on the Yazoo, if it says ENC and it also says DEC, so it says ENC plus DEC, that means you are listening for a tone as well. So make sure it's only set to transmit a tone and not listen to a tone. But I believe they are going to be fixing this problem here soon. They actually are in contact with the All-Star people, and they're going to add it so that the software in the Raspberry Pi actually transmits the audio tone through the audio stream. So it's going to kind of bypass the repeater controller, but it's going to still work the same. Rich Snyder's KR4PI is working with people. Yep, I already said that. So yeah, you can go into your programming software, because some radios are hard to get to that setting, especially on programmed in channels. Sometimes they're hard to get, especially Baofangs. I don't even know if you can change that setting once it's programmed in on a Baofeng. But yeah,
Baofeng programming is for masochists. You need
I've done it before. One time I was at the Edison Museum, and I was like, and I had to program something in, and I looked up how to do it, and it's weird, man. You gotta like turn the radio upside down and rotate it 360 degrees, and then it unlocks a special setting.
Stand on one foot and hop.
Yeah, that too.
Pat
And you
your head
gotta,
and rub your tummy.
Yeah.
yeah, and you gotta say like Xi Shang. You gotta speak to it in Chinese because it's got a secret code in there. You gotta say, and then once you do that, it unlocks a secret hidden menu for programming and stuff. So yeah, use Chirp and use the software. Chirp is great. John loves to bash Chirp, but Chirp is actually really good. RT Systems is kind of annoying too. They charge you a lot for the software, but you only get to use it on 2 computers. And if you want to use it on 2 computers with different operating systems, you got to buy it again. They're really stingy
wow.
with it. It's like $40 for the whole set. And you can only use it on 2 systems or 1 system if the other computer has a different OS. That it should be 1 purchase and be done with it. But I don't know. That's why I don't like RT Systems too much. I like Chirp. Breaking news. Breaking news. No disturbances. That's the breaking news. There's no hurricanes, no depressions, no tropical waves. So yeah, we're clear.
That's
I
good.
think hurricane season is kind of over now. This was actually really cool though. We have some space weather going on. There was a CME, a coronal mass ejection this morning. It came out of the northeastern edge of the sun. You can actually see it there puffing out from the sun satellites. What do you call those? Sun watchers or something? I think they have a name for them. But the storm cloud, yeah, there's going to be more sunspots, and it's going to rotate into view. And I hope that helps us with our. I want these sunspots to start picking up because then we're going to get better HF band activity. Yeah, we need it. This I thought was really fascinating. So, mysterious radio signal discovered in Milky Way center. What is it? Andy Wang is a PhD student at the University of Sydney. He recently discovered an unusual radio signal coming from the direction of the Milky Way center. Oh boy, it's those alien hams. They finally got their license.
ET's phoning home.
Yep, they got their license and they're calling CQ. He was using the ASKAP radio telescope in Western Australia, and the signal did not fit any currently understood pattern of variable radio source and could suggest a new class of stellar object. Yes, it is the ham radio asteroid. It's got antennas and everything. Flying through space. You know, you got little aliens sitting up there with they're doing asteroids on the air. Some of them are actually doing planets on the air. That one's not so popular though.
They're doing FT-128.
Yeah.
FT-8 by a few times.
Yeah, they got an upgraded version of FT8. They got WSJTX version 6.
That's right.
All right.
You sure it's not someone calling to say that your car's warranty is about to expire?
Yeah, that was the other guess. Your planet's extended warranty.
Or I have a student loan that I need to have forgiven.
They're trying to let us know.
What would really suck if you get a call from way off in the distance claiming they're from the IRS.
There you go.
Uh-oh. Space IRS is coming for you. Andy joins the K0LWC channel to talk about his discovery. I guess this was pasted from a news article or something.
Correct. It was this week.
Okay. I didn't see the original article, but
That's okay.
Ian made this. Yeah, he's going to talk about his discovery and how astronomers use radio telescopes around the world to look for faint radio signals across the cosmos. That's pretty cool. I really love radio telescopes. I wish I could have some in my backyard. Just like a big old, the one in Mexico, or is that in Nevada? The Very Large Array. I have a book about it somewhere here, but that's one of my favorite radio telescopes, actually. Actually, maybe I could show that later if we're still on here. There's actually a really cool. It's sort of like a game, computer program, and you actually control antennas and get signals. So maybe I'll demonstrate that a little bit later. But it's really cool because they've actually modeled out the Very Large Array, and you can actually like walk around inside the antennas and stuff. It's actually really, really neat. All right, moving on past the space aliens trying to say CQ. A new version of WSJTX 2.5.1. It mainly just improves the program and fixes bugs related to Q65 and JT65 modes, which were messed up before. It also includes a new feature for microwave aircraft scatter and more bug fixes since the 2.5.0 release. That's interesting. A new mode for aircraft scatter. If you expect to use JT65 or Q65 modes to make weak signal QSOs that involve a non-standard call sign, be sure to upgrade to 2.5.1. For the normal user, though, there's nothing really new in this. They haven't even really done anything with the audio issues that we were having. So it's,
Wait, so wait till the next one.
no, I don't. It's not like really. It's not like other pieces of software where they mess it up every other time, but it's not really that exciting if you're not trying to do JT65 or Q65 modes. This actually, though, is a good time for me to ask a question of all the people here. I recently encountered a signal on HF. I can't remember what band it was, but I actually have a recording of it, and apparently it's called the ISCAT mode. It sounds sort of like when you're on FLDigi doing PSK 31 or something like that. But it was a mode that is supposedly available in this program in WSJTX, and I couldn't find it. I'd really like to figure out what this was. Yeah, it's called ISCAT. ISCAT is the mode, and it's like a weak signal mode. That's all the information I could find about it. I couldn't find a clip of it on no, I did. That's how I found it, was on Signal Wiki, which that we need to make that a website of the week for next week, Signal Wiki. But do any of y'all know what ISCAT is? It's India Sierra Charlie Alpha Tango is how you spell it.
Does it go meow?
No, it's more like a
Oh,
like
okay.
a
A
different kind of
flutter,
thing.
almost like a flutter.
Hold on, I have a clip of it.
Thinking.
I recorded it. Let me see here. Is this it? Nope, that's not it. It was really weird because I couldn't decode it. I thought it was something with FLDigi, so I pulled FLDigi up, but it didn't help. I actually have it. You can see on the waterfall too. That helps sometimes to actually figure out what something was. Let me find it here. Binaries. Oh, and I have another question too about another signal. Here we go. I found it. Oh yeah, it sounds like that's what it sounds like. Let me open it up here in my spectrum analyzer so y'all can see it. Skip. Let me open this up. Spectrogram. Let me share the screen. Okay. Let me zoom in on this here. So, see all the little dots?
Yeah.
It's another one of these modes where it hops around a lot. And there's a lot of modes that look pretty similar, but I don't know if y'all can hear my audio or not. Probably not, but can y'all hear that?
I hear you.
I'm gonna guess I probably can't hear that, but yeah, it's like that's what it sounds like. And oh wait, look at this. Can you hear that now?
Yes.
I don't know what this is. It's ISCAT, apparently.
I don't know. It sounds very similar to what when these guys are doing WinLink.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Very
I
true.
wonder if that's what it was. Because the only way I was able to identify it was by going to Signal Wiki and trying to find a matching signal. And I found something that sounded similar, and they said it was a weak signal mode, and it was available in WSJTX. There is no button in there for ISCAT, even though
Well,
it says
Vara FM. That sounds just like Vara, not Vara FM, but just Vara.
Inside the
RH.
inside the WinLink program.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so maybe that's
And
what
it's a
that
weak
is.
signal mode. It's what it sounds like to me.
It very well could have been that, and I just misidentified it or whatever.
Mhm.
So that's probably what it was. It went on for quite some time. It would go for a while and stop briefly, and then it would start again.
Yeah, that's it. It sends a bunch of data, takes a break. The other end acknowledges, yeah, I got those, and send me more.
Right.
And it keeps
I
going until
see.
that entire email is sent.
So that was Vara FM, or was that WinLink?
Vara, VARA.
And
Yeah.
Vara's
The Vara
inside.
FM is the FM version of it that you use on a WinLink gateway on 2 meters or 440.
I see.
Right.
That's probably what it was then. That sounds exactly like what it was doing.
Yep.
And then I have one more signal that I want to ask about, because this is actually a signal that is on a lot of different areas in the band, and it's not just interference on my end, because I've actually picked it up on WebSDR and different radios at different houses. It sounds like it looks on the waterfall just like binary. I'm going to share my screen again here. Oh, I accidentally stopped my webcam. Okay, so it looks like binary. You can see it like is never in the same state on either side, so it'll flip from one state to the other, and you can actually kind of see a little bit of a line going up and down. I'm not sure if that's just an artifact from the audio recording, but it sounds a lot like the other thing. Kind of, no, it doesn't sound like the other thing. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm gonna play it here. Tell me what y'all think about this. What do y'all think that is? I have tried to research it and figure out what it might be, and I can't find any information.
Kind of like teletype.
Yeah.
Teletype?
RTTY.
No, it's not RTTY.
But
I-
teletype is correct.
You think it's teletype? That you're probably right. It's not RTTY because I hear it in areas that are not ham bands. They're usually just outside the ham band or in a completely random spot, and it'll just be kind of, and it'll go for hours. Like it's just a transmission that never ends. So you think it's teletype? What is
There are
teletype?
a lot of people use RTTY that aren't hams. And when I was stationed overseas, we used to copy the news reports from the various news services using a teletype machine.
Yeah, ticker tape as well.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
that's interesting. I tried decoding it. With the SDR console has a RTTY decoder in it. I tried using that, and it didn't make heads or tails of it. But I may have just set it up wrong.
FLDigi has RTTY decoder in it too.
That's a good. I could pipe the sound through there and try and decode it as well. It just keeps going forever and ever. And every time I've actually tried to do RTTY, they don't just transmit indefinitely. I mean, this went on all day. Like I pulled it up here on my little shortwave thing, and it went for like hours and never ended.
My Navy broadcast station in Scotland, we would transmit for days. 10,000 watt transmitter, keyed, go for days, sending fleet broadcast crap. And some of it's encoded or encrypted, however you want to say it. And then there was just the fleet broadcast stuff that was just unclassified crap. That would go on forever. And then there was the AFARTS news bulletin stuff that would go on and on and on and on and on. The same stuff over and over again. The only thing I liked about that stuff is when it came across the teletype, it would peck and type at about the same speed that I could read. I'm not a very fast reader.
Okay.
But and then they would have all those names that are hard to say. They would spell them out phonetically so that even a dummy like me can read those. So all those, foreign countries that have names that you can't pronounce, or
Yes.
some of these countries leaders that you don't know how to pronounce their names. Well, I was good at it.
Good.
So it could be.
But it did. But what you had, it sounded digitized, and that could have just been an artifact of your SDR. But it didn't sound like RTTY.
No,
it's more of a smoother sounding as it warbles between the two tones.
Well, this was actually recorded from the shortwave receiver. It wasn't recorded from a software-defined radio.
Okay.
But yeah, it might be.
And that shortwave receiver may not have sideband capability. So
No, it does. It's. I don't know what kind of actual signal it is, but yeah, I was on sideband, picking it up. I mean, it almost looks identical to RTTY. The only difference is that it sounds a little different and it goes on a lot longer than a ham using RTTY. But if it's like a commercial kind of broadcast thing, that might be what it could be. So you think I could use FLDigi to decode that?
Give it a try.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna give it a try.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that kind of answers that question because I couldn't find any example of it before, but I'm gonna look up teletype and try RIDI again and see what that comes up with me. So let's continue on with this. All right, the nets. The nets are still here, but yeah, y'all should definitely check on the nets. The Southwest Florida Traffic Net, I don't know. I don't check on it in it too much. And they've been having less and less people checking it, so much so that they actually said that this month was like the lowest engagement they've ever had in the Southwest Florida Traffic Net.
Right, but I can report today that they have done today through from Tuesday when they gave the announcement, they have now gone ahead and regained like 15% of their month's volume in the 3 days. So this is a positive. People took their plea to heart.
Okay.
And checked in on the traffic net.
All right. Well, that's nice. They're making an effort to get it back up and going. I got to tell you, though, it's kind of funny because that net will go on a long time. I used to check into it all the time, but now it'll be like, all right, any check-ins? It's just silence. No one, not a single check-in. That happened one time, and it was like, it was very surprising.
Right. But thankfully, they've changed the net so that for those people who are mobile or short time or in and out with no traffic, you get to come in right after the preamble, not have to wait the full net and then check in at the end. And that makes it easier for people.
That does help a lot, especially when you're mobile or handheld or something like that, because then you can listen to the rest of the net. So we got that. That's every Monday to Saturday on 146.685. Everybody knows the PL tone for all these. Next, we have a Sunshine Net on the WX4E repeater. That is 8:30 a.m. every single day. They've got two different repeaters. It's on the WX4E system, but they got two different repeaters. They got a UHF and a VHF side. 146.745 and 444.975 are the two frequencies that you can use to get into there. And they also says WinLink, but I guess you can, I don't know if you can check into the net using WinLink or if the repeaters just accept WinLink. I'm not sure exactly what that means. It would be cool if you could check it using WinLink to the net. Next, we have the pharmaceutical net. This is kind of a funny net to me, but it's 9 a.m. every single day on the FGCU repeater, the 820. Yeah, man, go check into that. It's what it sounds like. It is a pharmaceutical net.
Is it part of the university?
No.
No.
It's just a bunch of
pharmacists.
Old farts that take a bunch of meds.
all of us at our age are all on pharmaceuticals, so that's why they call it net.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Okay.
I didn't want to say it, but you guys said
well, no, that's just being honest. Okay, that's all right. I just thought it was unusual, being that it doesn't seem very ham related, but I understand.
No, it's kind of like the Sunshine Net. You get a bunch of people checking in and just kind of talking about their physical therapy and their doctor's appointments. So, it's about what you might expect. Then we have
I must still be young. Dang. I take one pill.
Only.
All right, good for you, Dallas.
and I'm about ready to schedule my second physical. I've been here for 3 years. It's time for my second physical at least.
Okay.
So now you're talking about your doctor's appointments too. Maybe you should go on the pharmaceutical net. All right, we got the Loggerhead Net. That is another net on Sundays at 7:30 p.m. It's on channel 24 of the Aries standard frequency list, 146.790. And the net controller is Alex WA4WDV. I haven't checked into this one. I've heard it before. They keep asking me to check in, and I still haven't done it.
It was good the last time I was on. They really had a nice discussion about a specific type of antenna. And because he's out in Sanibel, he was giving different points of demarcation. So it was very interesting.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try and make a point this Sunday to check into that.
Yeah.
We got the Windmill Net, 9 p.m. on Sundays. That's on 28.475 megahertz upper sideband, and the net controller is Charles KI4GED. He's a really good net control. He does a great job with this net. I believe I have listened to this before. So it's on 10 meters. That's 10 meters, right?
Yep.
10 meters. So yeah, there you go. And that's actually really, whenever I get around to building a 10-meter antenna, which actually I might have one this coming Sunday, John Wells is going to help me out, and he's going to help me set one up and try out a end-fed antenna that's going to go from 80 to 10 meters. So maybe this is one of the things I'll try with it, is I'll try and check into this net possibly. Although it's at 9 p.m. So the antenna should be up by then. So
Make yourself a note so you don't forget.
Yeah, I will. We got the newbie net, starts between 7:30 and 8 p.m. depending on what the net that happens before that. Which net happens before? I think it's a trader's net happens before.
That's correct.
Trader's net, or that's meeting on the air.
Right.
Yeah, that or the meeting on the air. Yeah. So yeah, Larry, N1NQU, he does a great job with that net. He's actually hosting that net all the way from down in Naples, like the very south end of Naples. He's way down there, but he actually is able to get into the 820 pretty well and host that net. So I say good for him, because he's got a very anti-radio setup where he lives, and he's actually able to point a beam out the window and get into the 820. So yeah, go say hi to him, and maybe your expertise can be a help there to the newbies. Then we got the Lee County Alert Net, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. They take check-ins. It's just mostly a lot of check-ins on 147.165. And this is one of the repeaters with a different PL tone than everything else. 127.3.
Now, they did this last week. They did that on the linked up system.
Oh, are they?
Yes. They're going to stay linked.
They're going to keep doing it on the link system?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we will need to change that then. Then we got the CC Flares Information Net, Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. So that's after the Alert Net. They got their 2 repeaters, of course, the WX4E system. We already talked about that. And they also have another repeater on there. It says the K8ONV repeater, 146.865, not to be confused with 685. Standard PL tone. And then, of course, we got the $1.25 net, which is hardly the $1.25 net anymore, because you can check into that from anywhere.
Yeah.
Just gonna have to call it the $2.70 net. Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. on the linked system, or if you want to actually do it on the $1.25 band, you can check in on 224.520 megahertz with a negative offset and standard PL tone. And then, of course, we got the Yazoo System Fusion. Ian always says Yazoo, even though he knows it's Yasu. That's how you say it, is Yasu. That's Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And there's 3 different repeaters here. We got the 444.675, 444.750, and the 2-meter 145.170 repeater. Or if you have another method of getting in, the Fusion room is 2185. That's how you get into the Yazoo System Fusion net. Then we have the DMR Net. This is a once-a-month net on the first Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. And that would be channel local 2. I'm not very familiar with DMR, but local 2, if y'all know what that means. Yeah. We got D-Star Net, second, third, and fourth Thursdays at 7 p.m. Wait a minute. Oh, no, it doesn't interfere. Yeah, because it's second, third, and fourth Thursday.
No.
That's on 443.450. I believe that repeater's at the EOC. I'm not sure. But yeah, go ahead. Apparently that net's a lot of fun. I've heard from multiple people that net is a lot of fun. So if you got it, the equipment, definitely check it out. And then we got the Cape Coral Gabfest. This is one of my favorite nets because it's a simplex net, and I am in a great position actually, and I end up receiving most of the people. I even checked into this one handheld one time, and I had people relay and stuff for me. It was pretty cool. Thursdays at 8 p.m. On 146.490 simplex. The net controller is Charles, KF4GED. He does a great job with it. But it's a lot of fun, especially when you're mobile in a van heading home on a handheld. That's the real challenge right there. Mm-hmm. I actually did it, and it was pretty cool. And then we got the Digital Practice Net, which is another really good net. I definitely recommend checking out, especially if you want to do SSTV and FL Digi. This is the place to do it. Thursdays at 8 p.m. on the 820 repeater. AC4ZM is the net control, and he does really well. He's very, very helpful. Even if you've never used FL Digi before in your life, he actually will walk you through it right there on the air and get you set up. He helped me. He helped my brother. And pretty soon we were decoding transmissions sent by him. So that was really cool. And the SSTV part is good too, although the repeater does have, they keep claiming it's outside interference. I think there's something wrong with the repeater. It'll make a really weird noise, and sometimes it'll mess up your pictures as you're sending over slow scan TV. So yeah, keep that in mind. And then of course the Tech Net that you're on right now, Zoom Fridays at 8 p.m. SWFLTech.net. Me and Ian are the net controls, are the hosts. So don't miss it, or I will come to your house.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
All right, we've got the SWFLTech.net newsletter. I believe he sent out a newsletter earlier today. We got the news on there, amateur radio news. We got the tech team news, propagation news, space weather, terrestrial weather, all kind of weather stuff, Hamfest updates, any kind of event that's happening locally, that's going to be on there. I need to remind him to put Parks on the Air stuff on there, because I think there was one recently that we never talked about. It's free, of course. And yeah, you all already know this. I've already given this whole thing. Co-host a Tech Net. Well, this is also people on YouTube. So co-host a Tech Net. We need this. Me and Ian, we've done a lot of stuff. But to be honest, even though there are so many parts of the hobby, we only know so many parts of the hobby. There's still a few areas that we don't know about. One of them being FL Digi. We want someone to come on and give us a whole presentation on how to use that. So
maybe the man that runs the DigiNet would come on.
That's a very good idea. I need to ask him. I don't hear him on the radio much at all, but if I can get a hold of him somewhere over the way,
you get a hold of the guy that does JS8 call. He's up in the Atlanta area.
Yeah, we do.
You'd like to get him on.
Yeah, that's another good idea. Maybe, I don't know if Dallas knows that. He's up in the Georgia area. So yeah, if you have something you want to show, co-host a TechNet with us. We take care of all the work, all the back end stuff. We make the slideshow. We will talk to you and do whatever it takes to get it done. So yeah, if you got something, please bring it. And then join, say, Southwest Florida Tech Team. You already know all this. We're recruiting people who want to be active in ham radio. You don't need to live local to us to join. You can actually, even if you're up in Georgia, you can do it or whatever. No membership dues or costs, and no participation requirements. Although we are looking for people to want to be active, so don't confuse no participation requirements with not being active. We don't have requirements, but the whole point of this is to have people who are active in the hobby and want to do cool stuff. So
even if they're in Wyoming.
Yeah,
even if you're in Wyoming.
See, that's the thing. Even if you're in Wyoming, we have a bunch of projects that you could do there. I mean, we have stuff right now dealing with remote radios and all kind of stuff that doesn't need any in-person work. If you're over Wyoming, you got a great place to set up a station. We could send you the hardware, and you do your thing down there, and it would be great.
Just get on the air would work.
That's right. Yeah. Just getting on the air would be.
They get on the air, but they get on the air with 2 meters and 440.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, line of sight. You might.
Maybe it can be done.
Wyoming has got a state dinosaur. Do you know that?
Yes.
What?
It's got a state dinosaur.
Let it go. Yeah.
We've got a state bird and a state butterfly, but they've got a state dinosaur.
Wow. They're just putting everybody else to shame, I guess. We actually are looking, and I specifically am looking for somebody who lives near the water here in Fort Myers or Cape Coral, or even down in Bonita. Anyone who lives near the water and has facilities to put up a marine band antenna connected to a Raspberry Pi or a computer of some sort, because I really want to get a stream up and going of the marine band along the waterfront. And so anyone who lives over by the water, anyone watching this, if you've got if you feel like you want to do that, I'm looking for someone who can facilitate some hardware at their place to host that. So yeah, if you got that, hit me up. And you can join the TechNet by going to southwestfloridatech.net, and there's a join now button, and you could put in your call sign or whatever and say whatever you want, and you'll be a part of the team. The swap shop.
All right, Jonathan, your trivia
next Saturday.
Your trivia for tonight. Yeah. Well, I thought you were going to go and put new shelves up.
I was, and this is quite a surprise to me as well. They the swap shop is not every other week. It often becomes every other week just because of how it works out, but they actually do it on the first and last Saturday of every month. Or no, second and last Saturday.
Fourth.
Yeah, second
So-
and last.
Yeah.
Second and last.
Okay.
So some months that actually becomes a 2-week gap between the swap shops.
This one.
I wish they would
Oh,
just do it
okay.
every other week, but they do it this way. So I was full on planning going tomorrow, and then they're like, "Oh, it's not happening tomorrow." So, but next Saturday I'm going to
That's
be
okay.
there. We're going to be doing shelving. We're going to kind of be renovating a little bit in there. So if anyone wants to come and hang out, you're more than welcome to come. If you want to help too, that'd be awesome as well, because it's usually just me doing the stuff in there. We got a little mini
Right.
social
But you
ham
do a
fest.
good job.
Thank you. I try. You can see the floor now
Yeah.
in the spot. You know, you may not be able to see the floor now. I haven't been there in about 4 weeks, so the floor is probably covered again. I hadn't thought
Mhm.
about that. You know, whenever I don't go,
Sorry.
it gets undone.
Sorry.
So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, it's a
Here's
little
your
mini ham
trivia for
fest.
tonight,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Joseph. Wyoming state dinosaur, and Dave was right. It's the horned triceratops.
A horn
So
triceratops.
now we all know the
Yeah,
Wyoming state dinosaur is the horned triceratops.
and it doesn't resonate.
That is correct.
It's on the one horn band.
There you are.
So
Very
I guess
good.
they discriminate against the hornless triceratops, if there's such a thing.
Okay.
Did they even have horn? I mean, the
Yeah,
standard.
yeah,
The
yeah.
standard triceratops, does it have horns?
Yes, it did. That was the
Wow.
whole thing.
Huh. I don't know
Yes.
much about dinosaurs.
That's okay. You didn't miss anything.
No, I did miss it. Exactly. That's the whole point.
The only,
No.
the only dinosaur that we see around here is the pterodactyl mosquito.
Ooh, yeah.
Very good.
The pterodactyl mosquito. The funny thing is mosquitoes don't actually, for some reason, they don't bother me that much. My whole family will be getting eaten up and they're just like, I haven't seen one in like an hour.
Very
I don't know
good.
what it is. Sometimes they do eat me up, but most of the time they don't. And I don't know, like
You must have some low-flying planes coming over.
that's what that might
Yeah,
be what it
lots of
is.
good planes. You're on the flight path.
Yeah. Well, actually the mosquito control takes care of us pretty good.
Right.
We got the Southwest Florida Tech Team Club repeater. Y'all gotta get on there, man. When Ian's out of town, no one's on the repeater. It's dead silent. It goes back to being just unused. So yeah, it's 444-775, tone of 136.5. We monitor this repeater. I was monitoring it all day today. Every time I'm mobile, I call out that I'm mobile and monitoring. It's got a really good footprint. It's over on the Lee County Electrical Co-op, and you'd be surprised at how well it gets out, considering that the antenna itself is only about like 30 feet, 40 feet off the ground. So it's
We'll have to try that then.
yeah, definitely give it a try. I got it on the
Okay.
radio over here. And then spread the word about TechNet. Y'all already been through all this. Just if you know somebody who might like it, point it out to them. Hold on, I'm trying to go over there. There we go. All right, now I'm on the repeater. I had turned the radio off. So yeah, if you're at a swap meet or something, you want to tell somebody at TechNet, feel free to. And then donate your old equipment. All of you already kind of heard this, so I'm not going to take up too much time with this. But if you got anything extra that we could use, we'll take it. Radios, computers, any old, even if it's kind of old, we will definitely take it. Especially if the radio is kind of broken. We are still looking for a radio to do FT8 with, Dallas's favorite mode. We're going to do FT8 with it. And so we're going to actually wire into the buttons and make this whole interface for it and everything. So it doesn't really matter if it's broken. But that's the whole thing with that. We've actually gotten a lot more equipment than I thought we would when Ian first put this up here. We've got a bunch of computers, which are all in use. We've even got somebody potentially giving us a radio very similar to the one in the picture here. It's a Kenwood desktop receiver. It looks very similar. The only difference is it doesn't have a microphone port on it. It's only a receiver, but I think that's way too cool to just stick on something to monitor. Because he was going to set it up and have it monitor slow scan TV to put on the website, but I'm like, man, that thing is way too cool to do that. So yeah, if you got anything extra, hit us up. We'll come pick it up or whatever it takes. And then resources for amateur radio operators. We have our website of the week, which we didn't have this week, but we also have the TechNet website, which has so much stuff in here. We got cell tower site maps, antenna calculators, ISS trackers, propagation trackers, weather stuff. Everything is on here. It's a really cool website. And that's it. That's the end of my slides. So
That's all right. You did a
here we
great
go.
job.
Yep, Ian's gonna be here next week, so we'll have hopefully some
It's all right.
better
You
ones
did
up and
fine.
coming. Thank you. I'm glad y'all think so.
Yeah,
I tried my best here,
you did.
but there we go. So yeah. So thank you everybody for the ideas for making the video too. This is very, 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 very helpful for coming up with ideas for the video that we're gonna make. Hopefully it will be good.
right.
Before we put it out there, we'll probably bring it on here and try and show it and see if y'all have any ideas for how to improve it,
Sounds good.
or when we do each different little episode. So there we go. So if y'all want to talk on here, I'll stick around. We can talk for a while. Otherwise, if everyone wants to go to bed, we can end it. I know we don't have as many people here. We have a few people here. Not a few, sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is down to like 2 or 3 people, and then I'm just like, well, we might as well go to bed. But we got everybody
All
here
right.
still.
All right. Well, I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to the POTA event for the Boy Scouts. So
Is that
that'll
tomorrow?
be fun. Yeah, it's not POTA. We're going to the Boy Scout camp and demonstrate ham radios so that the scouts will get interested to do their ham radio badge.
Hey, where is this? Where's this? Hold on.
At Babcock Ranch.
Is there did they send out an email about this or something?
Bob sent it to the people who had signed up.
Oh man, do you have to sign up to go?
Well,
Can you
yes
just
and
go?
no, only if you want lunch. Otherwise, you can come. I don't see
Hmm.
why not. It's just the idea that, but it is
Man,
tomorrow.
I wish I'd realized this was happening in advance. I want to go.
Well,
Is there a good reason why they didn't do it the weekend of Jamboree on the Air? Which
I
was
don't-
like last Saturday, I think.
yeah. And I don't know why, Dallas, okay? Because it's the idea that I know there have been hams from our club who have gone to the Jamboree, but this is more of advertisement and PR.
I
And
found
so-
the email.
Man, they could have killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
I know,
Done that, and that's what we did here. We had 2 groups of 30 scouts come through to get their all the stuff they
Badges.
needed to do,
Yeah.
get their merit badge.
Yeah,
Which to me, I wouldn't teach them the merit badge. I would do a 1 or 2 day ham slam. And
yeah,
teach them to get their technician license, and because there are some VECs that don't charge a fee, and while the FCC is not charging that $35 license fee, those kids could have gotten a license, and then it's like up to the scoutmaster to say, "Oh wow, if you've gotten a technician license, you've done like this much more than the merit badge. Here's 2 merit badges."
right.
Maybe it doesn't work that way.
Well,
I don't know
but you
about
make a
that.
valid point.
Yeah, it ought to be a boring looking merit badge, or a really special looking merit badge if you get your ham ticket.
Yeah,
Are you
that's
sure
true.
Are you sure this isn't Babcock Ranch? The email says it's over in South Fort Myers, or downtown Fort Myers.
No, this is now up at the northeast corner of Babcock Ranch, where the Boy Scouts have the, all right, let me get the name off the email, because I was looking up on directions how to get where we have to go.
Oh, I was looking at the email from 2018.
Yes, that is one of the things that ticks me off with the internet. When you do a search, it ought to put the older stuff on like page 64.
Yes,
you know, and when you do a search for something and you tell it that you want something that's in stock, it should take all the stuff that has to be mail ordered and puts it on page 264.
Agreed.
I don't know. Whenever I do a search, I never get to where I'm going. I always get misled off to something else way
Yes.
more interesting.
Yes.
You know, that's how I found HF kits, because I was looking for toroids. And then, you know, I go, wow, good evening, Ian. And I go off to other sites, and then eventually I come to a real cool site that I spend an hour reading.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I thought I sent you a link once to a place that would get, maybe somebody else, on where to get toroids and magnetic wire to wind them. And it's not RF parts, but it's something very, very similar. And it's a cheesy looking website. You wouldn't think that they would have much. But he's got toroids and he's got the instructions.
That may be kits and parts.
That might be it.
What was it called?
Kits and parts. It's W8DIZ site. That's where I usually get to.
Joseph, send your email in the chat.
Oh yeah.
But Rick, you said kits and parts. Is that with an ampersand?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
just, I think it's kits and parts spelled out.
Okay,
You just look up W8DIZ and you'll find it.
thank you.
Yep, that's it. It's got the toroid king there, and then there's another one. And I think it will link you to it.
Are you gonna email me the?
Uh-huh.
Perfect. So if I go there, am I gonna like be an outcast because I didn't sign up ahead of time, or are they gonna be able to let me participate somehow?
Oh,
Because I just
The only
searched my
thing-
email. I didn't get any email about this. The last email I got involving Boy Scouts was from 2018. So I don't know what happened with that.
Well, but this has kind of been coming through the POTA end, not
Hmm.
specifically the Boy Scout, where I know you were discussing with another gentleman about having a class or something for the Scouts.
Mhm.
And the only thing tomorrow is that there wouldn't be a lunch for you. That's
That's
only-
fine. That's fine.
But
yeah,
anyway, the email should be there. I sent it to you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let's see here. Yeah, I didn't get this. This was separate. Wow. There we go. Okay, so wait a minute. Hold on. Looking at the address here. We might need some coax.
Well, that was because they were going to set up on Friday and then actually have the activity tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So it says Boy Scouts of America Camp Miles. I'm trying to actually get an address here.
Oh,
Here we
I'm
go.
sorry.
No, I found it. I found it on
Okay.
Google Maps. Wow. I gotta go to this.
Dallas,
Yes.
how often does your chapter have a speaker?
For our regular everyday club.
Yeah, for your meetings?
We have a speaker, at least 11.
Okay,
Except, well, now, but the one for field day is usually a local person talking all about field day.
yeah,
And it's not very in depth.
Okay.
We do not have meetings on, in December. We have a Christmas
Right.
party.
Yeah.
But we also have a workshop, and I was the #2 man for helping the workshop. The #1 guy, the same guy who did the Raspberry Pi, he has stepped down. So I'm now like the default for being the #1 guy for running the workshop. And
uh-huh.
so that's a separate guest speaker. And for a while we were almost in competition with the main meeting, and they kind of pinged on us because sometimes our presentations were better. Well, I I said, okay, that's fine. But in the year and a little bit, because I think August made my first year doing this thing, and August was just like a month or so ago.
Right.
I've thrown over the fence like 6 presentations that the club gave.
Okay.
I can't help it if I can find so much good stuff. But I try to make everything in the workshop something that's either hands-on or could have been hands-on, but because of COVID, we weren't doing things hands-on.
Correct.
So you could almost say we have 2 presentations a month.
Okay. Okay. That's really nice.
Yeah.
That makes it really interesting.
Yeah. And we only got like 350 members.
Okay. All right. That's not so bad. That's not so bad.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna go say goodnight to my parents and ask them about the thing tomorrow. I'll be back in about, I don't know, maybe I'll be back.
Joseph, should you turn off YouTube?
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that now, I suppose. So yeah, anyone on YouTube, sorry, we're cutting it off now. Thank you all for being here. I know we had about 3 people here watching it live, and we had 2 people put a like on the video. So that was pretty nice. So yeah, thank you all for being here. This has been the Southwest Florida Tech Net. Join us back next Friday, where Ian will be back in town and we'll have a proper host back here. So thank you all for being here. And oops.